Access to resource. We are talking about involved stakeholders that can be across your operations team, administration office, and this will be focusing on how can we positively impact students with specific learning disability. It's very important that you have timely procurement of resources as per the need-based assessment, because no two students with similar disability will have similar needs. Therefore, it's very important that once the need-based assessment is conducted, not a lot of lag or time gap is in between providing them with the same. The second is ensuring resources, including mentors. We go beyond academic needs to support the independent living of our students, and therefore need to make sure that they're not only being provided with the needed support in their classroom, but also outside of their classrooms on the campus. Providing digital accessible manuals for the campus is something which is very, very imperative for them to understand how can they navigate across the campus. And last but not the least, giving them the right kind of accommodation on campus in terms of their hostel is something that can help them live better, be more independent, and providing the mental health services is something that strengthens not only the existence of all students, but specifically with one that is struggling with different disabilities. On-campus support. This talks a lot about how can we strengthen our campus to be able to support students with disability. It's very important that we brief and sensitize everybody on the campus, including the wardens in the hostels, the lab assistants, the faculty people who are running the libraries, which is our librarians, and beyond that, even our students, to help understand what could be the struggle of their students or peer on campus and what can be the support that they can provide to make their living more independent. Assigning a buddy or a mentor works really very well with these students, because they cannot be going back to their faculty for a lot of questions and supports when it comes to the life outside of classrooms. But a peer who's at the same level or a mentor who's a couple of years seniors takes away from the hesitation, and they can be more vulnerable to discuss and ask these questions. Hosting of awareness and sensitization session, not only during the orientation session but across different semesters, helps their peers understand the struggles really well, and that also gives them the confidence to be able to self-advocate and talk about what they need to perform better. During each term, it's very important that we hold events where there is representation of specific learning disability on the panel, and there's also a panel that talks a lot about what could be their strengths, what have people done previously, and so on and so forth. The last would be introduce these students to support groups, peer groups, and also the services that are available across campus for different departments that can help them perform better. Moving on to the last one, which is most necessary, is streamlined coordination. We have to have a center that is used to disperse all the information around their support system for students with disability. Also, the students know that there is one focal point on the campus where they can go and talk about their issues, their struggles, what can they do better, or any kind of specific support that is required. Streamlining policies and support provided across universities for admission, campus life integration, academics, curriculum, IT support, and career placement does really well. Admissions, under that you can review the process and mainstream inclusion by ensuring sensitization and also need-based assessment. For better integration on campus life, counseling support, extra co-curricular integration, coaching, being able to plan their life on campus better helps really well. For academics, there should be a lot of focus in how can you create very individualized accommodation as per their challenges with their disability better, and liaison with a lot of faculty in different departments so that their academic life is something which is strengthened, and so it enhances their learning outcomes. Then we talk about assistive technology, which talks not only about software and hardware but making sure these students know how to use it. Even the faculty members and the facilitators are trained to help their students use this better as per their disability. The last, which is the most important, is career and placement. Overseeing the entire process of internship, of placement, outreach with the employers, helping them understand what are the individualized needs of these students is something that will do very, very well, because the end target of their learning journey on a higher education institution is to be able to transition into employment, innovation or research, which can happen through this cell. Last but not the least, creating a lot of on-campus champions through interns, volunteers, working towards supporting students with disability, creates the pedestal for an inclusive campus where our students with specific learning disabilities can thrive. In our following video, we learn from the journey of one of our champions on a new campus and what was transitioning like for her.
I struggled academically and was not able to cope up with reading and writing and all. I did the IB and I ended up failing the IB because I did not have the resources and tools to be able to support me with my learning difficulty of dyslexia and other difficulties as well. So I never really received a formal diagnosis until I actually went to college, where I was able to formally request for additional support in terms of receiving extra time, extension on my papers. I think what changed for me is a drastic increase in my confidence. I felt like I always second-guessed myself, thinking that I was a problem or there was something wrong with me. But it was simply that I was just not able to do what most people were able to do in a specific way. But the minute I was given the accommodations or the support, I just was able to do, and I just felt like I had more of an equal opportunity. I'm a student again right now, and it takes me some time to put down my thoughts onto paper. I definitely just struggle with processing and just like being able to formulate and articulate my thoughts and just being able to put that down to type coherently. I cannot drive a car. I just cannot navigate the left and right and not able to understand that like the car will be able to pass in a specific lane. But academically, like even now, what would take somebody an hour to read, it'll take me about 3 hours. Even though I have a software such as Grammarly that corrects my paper, I do have to kind of like reread it again and again. So if a typical person requires about 3 to 5 hours to write a paper, including editing, I would require 15 hours to do that. I'm at New York University right now, and they have an entire center called Moses Center for Disabilities, and they are extremely inclusive and cater to any kind of disability or any kind of like need that an individual has. There is an entire process that is very gentle and very respectful to kind of identify and document anything that a student is going through, whether it's a disability, academic, mental health, anything. They ask you what you need. No questions asked, right? And like obviously it's regulated to be fair and just to everyone else. But I think just having an entire center dedicated to disability support is just really, really helpful to have in an academic institution at my will without needing to pay extra for it. I think like 95% of my professors right now are extremely understanding. Like, even if my paperwork is not completely in place in terms of requiring support, like no questions asked if I said that I needed help or this is my circumstance or situation, they were just very understanding, not requiring evidence. Like, they took my word over everything else. And I think with my friends and family, I just feel that I get a lot of patience from them. There are a lot of people in my life who are just very patient and accepting for exactly who I am. I'm very privileged and honored to surround myself with people who are really caring and empathetic. I have a really strong support system inclusive of my family and friends who make up for that feeling of like sadness just because of who I am and what my reality is in terms of my processing and abilities. I think in terms of just the technology that I use as well to help me, having books available on Audible to listen to something rather than like needing to read is just extremely helpful, because it just allows me to still enjoy books that I want to read, but I don't have the capacity or ability to read sometimes. So having the listening option is 100% helpful. I also feel that having Grammarly as a tool and having it like a lot of the features available for free also is helpful. I do feel that there are certain tools that I think if you have a disability, I think it should be available free of cost. I take reflection and continuously trying to increase my effectiveness as two dominant strengths. I don't give up easily. Like, I am, even though I'm slightly older, I did push myself to go back to a master's, and I think I'm really pushing myself to enhance my resilience and just work hard to be able to just do what I want to do and pursue a dream that I have of just being able to be a therapist, because I feel that I would be a really good one. I'm always seeking to understand and explore things and how I can be a better therapist in training. I don't give up easily, basically, regardless of the challenges that I face. I would just want to say to own it. Like, that would be two words that I would reinforce. Just own it and also take up space. In owning what I'm going through and what my current reality is, gave me the courage to keep seeking out resources. If you own it, you can get this inner voice and this inner strength to be able to take up space and just like demand for certain things, while there are people and organizations that are advocating for you. You need to be your biggest advocate. Reading up on what your rights are, or like demanding what your rights can be, is something that I think is really important. And I also feel that there's a lot of power in just being able to communicate your story and just like being able to talk about it or just expressing yourself. I would say own it, demand more, and take up space, because regardless of your ability, disability, we're all human at the end of the day. And if we don't speak up and wait for other people to make the world more inclusive for us, I think we're doing a disservice to ourselves and others when we don't raise our voices, because if we want an inclusive world, it needs to start with us believing that we deserve one.
Remember, when you set your processes on campus to make it very inclusive, they will just not support students with disability but all students on campus. Do not miss out the next genius that is sitting in your classrooms right now. Be able to unlock the potential. Let's get ready to unlock their potential.